So the big question is, well, how much is enough? Having too much can mean that you're not taking advantage of the ability to invest. So the money that's sitting in your emergency stash isn't generally earning much of a return. Even though bank interest rates have moved up a little bit, it's still not a particularly good return. And over time, inflation's eating away at its value. So you want to keep it as small as is practical, but big enough that it's useful for when you need it. A good benchmark to start with is 3 to 6 months of living expenses. Whether that's 3 or 6 will come down to your personal willingness to accept risk. But there are some circumstances where more would be better. And these are whether your particular circumstances give rise to a greater likelihood of a larger emergency happening. So if you're self-employed or work casually, you've got children, or you look after a parent or other dependent, you've got a lot of debt. What happens if interest rates move up? You've got a stay-at-home partner. Your income is therefore a much bigger part of the household income. You've got a very senior job. The more senior you are, the further through your pay grade you are, the longer it's likely to take you to get a new job. Something that's becoming quite common now is where you have a couple where they both work in the same industry or even in the same company. That increases the risk that you might have an emergency, and therefore you might need to have a bigger one. If you don't have insurance, some people cannot buy insurance because of their health or occupations or hobbies, in which case you might need a little bit more. It's not a substitute for insurance, but a little bit more might help. If you've got an old house or an old car, these are more prone to creating unexpected expenses. Talked about parents living overseas, or parents in ill health, where you're more likely to have to make an emergency dash to visit them. And the other one is where your chore expenses, those expenses that are really hard to change, are a big chunk of your take-home pay. So if you have 5 or more of these apply to you, then 6 to 9 months might be more prudent.